The North East is still picking up the pieces of the destruction and decimation of 14 years of Tory government. Men in the North East of England still expect to live 10 years less than people in other parts of the country. Women in the North East of England are making, on average, more than £11,000 in wage than people in other parts of the country. 33% of kids in my patch in Blythe and Ashington are living in poverty. The unemployment rates are above the national average, and the national wages are below the national average. You know, Mr. Speaker, the people in the North East are a proud breed, and we deserve much more than this, mate. Can I ask the Prime Minister if he can assure me and the people in my constituency and in the North East if there's much to look forward to on the horizon? And will he meet with me to discuss how we can shape it?
Prime Minister.
He talks about poverty in his constituency, and they heckle him. They should be ashamed. It is our moral mission to tackle poverty, Mr. Speaker. We've abolished the two-child cap. That will be over 3,000 children, I think, in his constituency lifted out of poverty. I'm very proud to be able to do that. We've boosted the national minimum wage by £1,500. We're adding £150 that we're taking off everyone's energy bills. We're driving economic growth right across the country, devolving power and investing across all of the country.
Let me read to him what his own cabinet members are saying, and I quote, "The handling of this budget has been a disaster from start to finish." Yes. Who said bad? Was it him? Was it her? In fact, I think it was probably her, actually. It was probably the Chancellor. In fact, Mr. Speaker, one of his ministers said the Chancellor and Prime Minister look weak and incompetent. The country agrees. We know that there were endless Treasury briefings to justify raising taxes on hard-working people to pay for benefits. And those briefings had real-world consequences. Hundreds of thousands of people drew down their pension, an irreversible act. So the Prime Minister pays tribute to the head of the OBR. If the head of the OBR had to resign over market-sensitive leaks, why is the Chancellor still in her job?
Mr. Speaker, last year they left us with a £22 billion black hole. This year, at the beginning of the process, the OBR did a productivity review on their record in office, and that cost an additional £16 billion that we had to find in the budget. But notwithstanding that, Mr. Speaker, we protected the NHS, waiting times are coming down. Notwithstanding that, we got cutting borrowing at the fastest rate in the G7. Notwithstanding that, we've got £150 off energy bills. That's added to rail bills and prescription as well.
Order. Mr. Holden, your voice carries more than mine. The difference is yours will be carrying outside, not in the chamber. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what she doesn't understand is that picking up a £16 billion tab for their failure is not a good starting point for any budget. And the OBR said yesterday, Mr. Speaker, that the Chancellor's speech was not misleading. So if the Leader of the Opposition had any decency, she'd get up now and apologise.
Mr. Speaker.
You might be enjoying a cup of tea with Mr. Holden if you carry on.
Mr. Speaker, no one believes a word that the Prime Minister says. We now know the black hole was fake, her book was fake, her CV was fake, even her chess claims are made up. She doesn't belong in the Treasury, she belongs in La La Land.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I was in Royal Tunbridge Wells, where tens of thousands of people have had no water for 5 days. This is now a public health emergency, and shockingly, it's the second time in just 3 years when South East Water have let down the people of Tunbridge Wells badly. Parents are queuing up for bottled water for their kids. Pensioners are relying on neighbours to fetch some water for them. Businesses have closed down. Schools and GPs have been forced to shut. South East Water said it would be sorted on Monday, then yesterday, and today it still hasn't been sorted. So will the Prime Minister convene COBRA Does he agree that it's time for him to get a grip of this crisis so it is sorted?
Well, can I thank him for raising this really important issue? And it is shocking for all the reasons he set out. And I too have heard South East Water say, as he rightly says, actually Sunday into Monday, Monday into Tuesday, and Tuesday into Wednesday, that they were sorting it, and they still haven't sorted, and there's really serious consequences. And we are bearing down on that, as he would expect, because it's such a serious issue.
Sir Ed Davey.
Prime Minister's reply and the actions of the Water Minister, but I do think the government will need to do more because South East Water have failed so badly. If I can turn to the budget now, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister's chief economic advisor has recommended a customs union with the EU as one of the most effective ways of generating growth, and we agree. So instead of hitting people with higher taxes in the middle of a cost of living crisis, will the Prime Minister change course in economic policy and listen to the piece of wise economic advice from his own economics advisor?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we are getting closer relationships with the EU on a number of fronts, including trade and the economy, because that is good for businesses across our country. Has been welcomed by them. We'll continue down that path, but we do have clear red lines in relation to the single market and the customs union. So within those constraints, we will move closer.
I was recently the target of an AI deepfake video announcing my defection to reform. And as colleagues across the House will know, that's about as likely as reform moving from pub populism to a coherent programme for government. I'm delighted to reassure my Chief Whip and the House that I am and always have been a faithful Conservative. But does the Prime Minister agree with me that while satire has always been an important part of our politics, the rise of AI deepfake disruption is a serious threat to our democracy, and would he agree to work with me and cross-party MPs to frame some appropriate reforms as proposed by the recent Speakers' Conference to protect our democratic integrity?
Well, can I thank him for raising that? And it is an important issue. We do need to work cross-party where we can on deepfake, on AI and other issues that need to be addressed. I had, I'm afraid, missed his alleged defection to reform. I wouldn't have believed it if I had seen it. But I have to say, there's a lot of them going. There's three ex-MPs have gone, I think, this week. They talk about leaks. That's where their leaks are going, to reform. And I saw a leak, talking of leaks, on the front page of the Financial Times this morning, where apparently the leader of Reform says he wants to merge with the party opposite and sit down here with them. An absolutely unholy alliance of austerity and failure.
Shocker Adam.
Speaker, no religion, no theology, no philosophy is beyond critique or scrutiny, and we must protect freedom of speech at all costs. But Islamophobia is real. At least for Zainab Hussein in my city, who was run over not just once, but twice simply for being a Muslim. She survived. Not so lucky was Makram Ali, who was killed outside Finsbury Mosque simply for being Muslim. Not so lucky was Muhammad Salim, who was stabbed to death simply for being a Muslim. I would like to ask the Prime Minister that in opposition, a definition of Islamophobia was adopted. In government, it has been dropped. Can I ask what's changed?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for raising those examples of hatred in his constituency, and he's right to raise them, and we should all condemn them. Hatred in all its forms should be condemned by all of us in this House, and that includes anti-Muslim hatred as well, and we intend to act on it.
Right.
Mr. Speaker, let me tell the Prime Minister, making the whole country poorer and destroying jobs is not how you keep children out of poverty. In the past week, we've seen broken promises, broken leadership, and a broken budget for Benefit Street. The Education Secretary is chuntering. Where is the money for the children on special educational needs? Where is it? Unemployment is up. Unemployment is up. It's coming out of her budget. It's coming out of her budget. She's shaking her head. She doesn't know where that money is coming from. But let's be clear, Mr. Speaker. Unemployment is up. There are more children now growing up in workless households because people are losing their jobs. It's not just the head of the OBR who's losing his job. Millions of people have been hung out to dry by their budget. And isn't the truth, Mr. Speaker, that behind it all is a Prime Minister who only cares about one person's job, his own?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In 2020, the Justice Secretary said criminal trials without juries are a bad idea. The Prime Minister himself said there should be a right to trial by jury in all criminal cases. Now they want to scrap them. Mr. Speaker, with a Chancellor who can't count and a Justice Secretary who's lost count of the number of people he's let out of prison, is it any wonder that the people of this country can't trust a single word this Prime Minister or government says ever again?
Mr. Speaker, they left a broken criminal justice system where victims of rape and serious sexual violence are waiting 3 or 4 years for trial. Only this week I've had further examples of 14-year-old girls and 16-year-old girls having to give evidence 4 years after the allegation. That is not justice for them, and I'm determined that we will deal with it. Now, as he well knows, of all criminal cases going to court, 90% have always been in the magistrates' court. 90%. 10% go to the Crown Court. Of that 10%, 7% plead guilty. That means that 3% of all criminal cases go forward for a jury trial. Not all of our cases. We are making changes, sensible changes, to ensure that we can make sure that victims get justice and it's denied under the failure that they left.